Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Bim, bam, bim, 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 bam. Bim, 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 bam. Bim, 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 bam. Bim, 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 bam. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom. Shiru Adonai kol haaretz. Shiru Adonai shir chadash.
6:48.
Shiru Adonai kol haaretz. Shiru Adonai shir chadash. Sing unto God, all the earth, a new song. I will sing unto God a new song. Sing unto God, and we'll all sing along. All the earth, a new song unto God. Shiru Adonai kol haaretz. Shiru Adonai shir chadash. Shiru Adonai kol haaretz. Shiru Adonai shir chadash. I will sing unto God a new song.
Shabbat Shalom, friends.
Shabbat Shalom.
We are a small but mighty bunch who knows one another quite well, and it is lovely to see everybody and welcome, of course, to our guest. May you become like family, and may this be your family soon. So I am Rabbi Rachel here with Dr. Artie Gummer on the guitar and vocals for us tonight. Let's see, reminder for anybody who may need a break. Just kidding. We have our Shalom Sanctuary. If anybody gets too rowdy, I might need to send you over there, okay? As always, Mishkan Tefillah underneath your seats. Most of you, I believe, have found it already. Our exits to my right, to my left, behind me, and behind you. Always a classic. Let's make sure our phones, smartwatches are on silent. Medicine alarms have gone quiet, all those lovely things. And otherwise, I'm going to just invite everybody, take a second, turn to somebody you did not drive here with, wish them a Shabbat Shalom, and we'll join back together on page 648 in just a second. All right, Artie? Yeah.
Shiru Adonai kol haaretz. Shiru Adonai shir chadash. Sing unto God, all the earth, a new song. I will sing unto God a new song.
song. Sing unto God, and we'll all sing along.
All the earth a new song unto God.
Shiru Adonai kol haaretz. Shiru Adonai shir chadash.
I will sing unto God a new song.
All right, friends, and the book we're looking for under our seats, it's the one that looks like this, has Mishkan Tefillah. If you get one that says Torah, I know they're both blue, but it's the wrong one, friends. All right, so let's take a second. Some of us have been traveling, other of us have been working or hanging out at home. So no matter what was a part of our week, let's take a second to enter this space for us to enter Shabbat. So perhaps flutter your eyes closed if you like. We'll take a couple deep breaths together. And let it out. Another deep breath in. Let it out. One more breath to be ready for Shabbat. Deep breath in. Let it out. And we'll flutter our eyes open and turn to page 120. And Michelle, if you would be so kind as to come up to light Shabbat candles for us. And if everybody would please rise. Yeah.
Without my glasses. As these candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we in our own day be among those who kindle light. May we be blessed with Shabbat joy. May we be blessed with Shabbat peace. May we be blessed with Shabbat light.
Bring in that love, that light, and that warmth of Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai.
That's Hanukkah.
Oh.
I know, every time. Gets everybody. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shal Shabbat. Shabbat Shalom. Thank you. Friends, if you'd like to light your own Shabbat candles, come on up to our tables in front of me. If you're going to stay at your seat, you may be seated as we welcome our Sabbath angels, Shalom Aleichem, page 142.
Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Melech Malachei HaMlachim, Kadosh Baruch Hu. Ani L'Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Kadosh Baruch Hu. Seivchem v'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Mihi melech Malachei HaMlachim, Kadosh Baruch Hu.
page 138, we get ready to welcome the Sabbath bride. And I have to admit, the last time I actually did it, because let's see, last Friday we had just gotten off the plane. It was 9 o'clock and Max turned p.m. We were home by this point. But it's 9 p.m. on Friday, and Max turns to me and he goes, "It's Friday. We forgot to light Shabbat candles." We were just thrown by all of the time that it feels like it's been 2 weeks since I've had Shabbat, and that last time we were, as a congregation, at the Kotel, but technically far side of it in the egalitarian section, and it was the first time I had the chance ever to welcome the Sabbath bride, to welcome in Shabbat at the Kotel with singing, where I was actually able to sing, and it was really nice to be able to be in community, because the women, we can't sing at the main section of when you think about the Kotel. Where's the Kotel? In that space, we can't do it, but in this new-ish egalitarian section, we have the chance to be able to bring that in together. And so it's been 2 weeks since I've had the chance to really welcome in that Sabbath bride, and so I do so with joy this week. I hope you do as well. Page 138, L'Chadodi.
L'Chadodi,
לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה.
L'Chadodi,
לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה.
שמור וזכור בדיבור אחד, השמיענו אל המיוחד, אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשם ותפארת בלי תהילה. לחדודי, לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לחדודי, לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי מקור הברכה, מראש מקדם נשוכה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה. לחדודי, לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לחדודי, לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. התעוררי, התעוררי, כי באורך ומי אורי, אורי אורי, שיר דברי, כבוד אדוני אלייך נגלה. לחדודי, לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לחדודי, לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. We rise and face the door. בואי בשלום עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה וצהלה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה. בואי חלה, בואי חלה.
We face forward.
לחדודי, לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לחדודי, לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. Please be seated. So before going to Israel this summer, I guess I'll call it, I wondered what the experience was going to be like, because it was leading my first congregational trip, traveling, God bless us, with a toddler, seeing Israel through the eyes of first-timers, and all of our folks on the trip ranging from ages 2 to 82. There was so much potential. And so, first of all, it was an experience of a lifetime.
Karen can attest. And I connected with the land, the people, the air, the food, our community, and God in a whole new way. Now, Max and I have flown to Israel dozens of times, but like I said, first time with a toddler. And this time, we discovered a probably not so secret society of eye contact, soft smiles, helpful hands, and kindness that accompanies such a journey. And it most often was coming from folks who were also traveling with itty-bitties in tow. And then there were those folks who were flying, sans kids, but whose kind eyes told us they were very familiar with the adventure while also being very glad to not be in our position. So now we'd traveled with Zohara throughout the States before, but here is why the story of flying is worth mentioning in a Jewish context here, because the experience is totally different, completely new even. And I'm not sure yet whether to call it an Israeli experience or to call it a Jewish one, or Jewish-Israeli or Israeli-Jewish. But only traveling to Israel can you have this experience. And I've unofficially named the community that we found. We are the Stroller Brigade, okay? Dati, Haredi, Chiluni, Reformi, that's religious, ultra-Orthodox, secular, Reform. We all acknowledged one another's existence when we were together in the trenches. Now, unfortunately, the kind treatment that Max and I received, it's not exactly typical. I can't tell you how many times I've been very loosely quoted in community with ultra-Orthodox folks who very much do not acknowledge my existence. And to be honest, it's not as if I was like really looking to engage with them either on a typical day. But you throw some tiny kids into the picture, and suddenly we're speaking to one another like old pals. Yiddish, Hebrew, English. We all just want these nudgy people who are crowding the gate to get out of our way so that we can push our strollers down that plane and board at our predetermined time. Because it is our turn to board if we were listening. And Oigewalt, can they be any slower getting us our strollers now that we've landed in Israel? Which way is east? The Black Hatter asks me. These strollers are taking their sweet time, and I want to daven Ma'ariv. Ma'ariv, the evening service. Check the time, it's too soon. Daven Mincha, daven the afternoon service, says a man in a kippah sruga, a more modern Orthodox man with a knit kippah on his head. These interactions, from the shared soft smiles to just speaking with one another, these were surprisingly sacred moments for me. And I believe the lesson here is it's hidden in the surprise. And perhaps you've had a similar type of experience where we expect things to go one way based on past experience, but then we are pleasantly surprised when they go another direction. The Stroller Brigade was not what I was expecting, a pleasant surprise for sacred community. Now, Pirkei Avot, the collection of great sayings of our sages, it speaks to the importance of communal camaraderie in plain terms when it says, do not separate yourself from the community. And in many ways, this is an ironic text to cite when talking about coming together in community with a sector of society who chooses to self-isolate. They very much apply a particularistic reading to the text, meaning they see this text as telling them to be exclusive rather than inclusive. Yet, the experience on the plane was one in which they had to extend their community wider than those in black hats and shadels, in wigs. And I had to extend my community wider than those in Lululemon leggings and Uppa Baby strollers, okay? So, in the context of any flight, do not separate yourself from the community. It's basically physically impossible. You can cover yourself with a blanket, but that's about as far as you'll get. We're all stuck on the plane together. And we're all stuck waiting for our strollers together. And if you've ever been super delayed or run into horrible turbulence or some other classic traveling experience, then you know that there's nothing quite like the community built upon suffering through flying together. Now, there's a commentator to our Pirkei Avot text, and he cites a Talmudic teaching. And it says, when the Jewish people is immersed in distress, and one person separates from the community and does not share their suffering, the two ministering angels who accompany a person throughout their life, similar to the ones that come to us for Shabbat, those ministering angels, they come and they place their hands on the head of the individual as if that person were an offering. And they say, this person, so-and-so, who has separated themselves from the community, let them not see the consolation of the community. Now, in the context of traveling, especially traveling this summer, if you're at all reading the news, it is always good to remember that we're all in this together. That if we don't help one another out, we won't see the consolation of the community in its time of need, and we won't get to see the good that comes from being there to comfort one another. Now, friends, are we hearing the plane as a metaphor yet? We're all in this together, all in the turmoil and the turbulence, the lost luggage and crying babies. If only the unity of a community and kindness that was on that plane could be replicated throughout the world to overcome the expected and unexpected that we encounter each day. Traveling, and especially traveling to and from Israel, it's often far from a sacred religious experience given the long hours, crying babies, and uncomfortable seats, to say the least. But I believe that this first story tonight, it is a reminder to open our eyes, even when we are in the trenches, to the holy sparks that may surround us, the kind smiles, the helping hands, the gentle gestures. When we begin from this place, a place of understanding, openness, compassion, and kindness, then perhaps we can build something beautiful together, or at least survive international travel. Baruch Hu, page 146. Please rise. Welcome on the evening Roll Into Dark, found on the back inside cover of your prayer book.
Roll into dark,
Roll into light, nights become day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light, night becomes day, day turns to night. Orei Yom 152. We feel our feet grounding us on the floor. We flutter our eyes closed. Stand proud. Declare God's oneness. Shema.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Vahed. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Vahed. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Please be seated. Ve'ahavta, page 154. We chant together. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha ve'hayu ha'devarim ha'eleh asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinatam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'veitecha u'lechtecha v'derech u'shochbecha u'vkumecha u'kshartam leot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot bein einecha u'chtavtam al mezuzot beitecha u'visharecha למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. And these words which I command you on this day shall be in your heart, shall be in your faithfully unto the children.
Speak of them when you sit in your house,
when you walk by the way, when you lie down, and when you rise.
For a sign upon your hand,
that they may be between your eyes. Write them on the doorposts of your house, and upon your gates, and upon your gates. Teach them faithfully unto your children. Speak of them
when you sit in your house.
when you walk by the way, when you lie down, and when you rise, and when you rise.
Page 157, we'll pray responsively at the bottom of the page. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say, Adonai, there is one God in heaven and earth. The high heavens declare your glory. May earth reveal your justice and love. From bondage in Egypt we were delivered at Sinai. We bound ourselves to your way. Inspired by prophets and instructed by sages, time and again we overcame oppressive forces. Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages your vision of a world redeemed. Let us continue to work for the day when the nations will be one and at peace. Then shall we rejoice as Israel did, singing on the shores of the sea. Mi Chamocha, our prayer of freedom, page 158.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, נורא תהילתו ספלת, נורא תהילתו ספלת. מלכותך ואהובך, בוקע יום לפני משה מרים, זה אלינו ואמרו, זה אלינו ואמרו. לעולם ועד, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, נורא תהילתו ספלת, נורא תהילתו ספלת, נורא תהילתו
Page 160, we have words of Hashkivenu, our prayer for shelter, our prayer for peace. We know that our world is always in need of great healing, and that in order for us to be co-creators with God in that continued holy work, that in our hour of need, we call upon God for that help so that we can have the strength to lift up others. Hashkivenu 160.
Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, v'hamidenu shomrei. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, v'hamidenu shomrei, nu lechaim. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, v'hamidenu shomrei, nu lechaim. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, v'hamidenu shomrei, nu lechaim. Ushmor tzetzeinu, uvoeinu, lechaim ushalom, me'ata v'ad olam. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom,
העמידני שומרנו לחיים, העמידני שומרנו לחיים. Page 162. Words of Vishamru, our prayer for Shabbat, that Sabbath rest that we so desperately need each week. When we take it, we feel it. It guides us, it guards us, it allows us to have the energy to move into the rest of our week with that strength that we garner in that time of rest. Page 162.
לעשות את השבת לדורותם, ברית עולם ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם. כי ששת ימים עשה את השמיים ואת הארץ, וביום השביעי שבת שבת ויהי נפש, שבת ויהי נפש. ושמעו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם, ברית עולם ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם, אותי
in theory, when there is a strong enough commonality between us, that commonality is enough to help us make real community. So we could put together a group of all left-handed people. Anybody left-handed here? I feel like statistically that was a high number of hand raises. Okay. Did you raise your left hand or your right hand? So we could put together a group of all left-handed people, and they may bond over the trials and tribulations that they face for a little bit, but ultimately, left-handedness probably isn't a strong enough connector to build a long-lasting and impactful community that is motivated to take action together. Now, sometimes the piece that brings a community together is to go through a real tough experience as a group. As Rabbi Spike likes to say, a little adventure can build lasting bonds. A collective struggle can unite everyone. And for our adult bus, so we had an adult-only bus and then we had a family bus. So for our adult bus on the Israel trip, the adventure occurred on a trail that led toward what was supposed to be a lovely spring in the Palestinian town of Husan. It was a new trail that the guides hadn't had a chance to explore ahead of time. So, I mean, the adult bus participants, y'all were really trailblazing. And the long story short is that this was not an easy trail for our crew. People were slipping left and right. We had one go down, she's fine. But what's sort of fun in retrospect, after coming out the other side without anybody suffering a serious injury, is that the group conquered it, or at least as much as they could, together. They bonded over the collective struggle and came out a stronger unit. Folks were already looking out for one another. But now they were really ready to support each other. Now, for the family bus, our collective bonding was a bit unique. What happened was actually, it was a first for me in Israel. So, we travel in these huge buses, these 60-seaters. It's the biggest ones you can travel in. And the streets in Israel, as we can imagine, were not originally designed with these monstrosities in mind. And the bus drivers, they're almost all former tank drivers. That's what they would do in the IDF, is they were tank drivers, and then they become these bus drivers. So these guys, they know what they're doing, okay? And I've been through tight turns that, reversing and then going into drive, reverse, going to drive on the tiny streets up north in Sfat. But this was the first time that I've ever actually been stuck. So the family bus, we got stuck in the, stuck in the heart of Tel Aviv. So someone had parked in a no parking zone, making it so that our bus, which should have been able to make this turn, could not complete the turn. So this meant that we were now blocking a busy city street in a city which already has terrible traffic. And so there were, of course, debates about whether or not, could we just, it wasn't that big of a car, could we just, pick it up and move it to where it should be? Were the police coming? What about all the traffic we're now holding up? What are we going to do? So our tour guide and bus driver, they're in the street, they're on the phone trying to sort it out, calling the police, doing whatever they do. And in the meantime, one of our fearless members got off the bus and proceeded to stand in the middle of the street and direct traffic. I kid you not. There are videos. We've got, these arm motions and this and hold on and all of it. He was in it to win it, and he directed traffic until police arrived. The kids on the bus loved watching this happen. They loved waving at everybody as we waited. Shop owners are now coming out of their stores. They're on the street watching this unfold. The Uber drivers, they call it something else, but the Uber Eat drivers are on their mopeds trying to deliver food. They're now going around the bus on a sidewalk. We've created our own little community in this moment because we're all stuck in the situation together. So we made the most of it, had great stories to tell at dinner to the adult bus, and to bring home to share with our extended family and friends. So whether community forms over travel with toddlers, surviving a treacherous trail, or while blocking the boulevards of Tel Aviv, I take home these experiences with a cautious optimism for the future. Political tensions have been escalating for years now, we all know this, causing great divides in families and communities. We've lost that sense of a shared identity as a nation, shared identity that can be found so simply with those toddlers, or so simply with a bunch of people trying to walk on a trail together and make it out alive, or with a group stuck on a bus in Tel Aviv. But we have lost that sense of shared identity as a nation, but I remain hopeful that we can heed the advice of our sages, that we do not separate from our community. Rather, we continue to place our Jewish values at the forefront of all that we do, so that we can fulfill our mission here, always taking the world from where it is to where it needs to be. And the text that I've quoted from Pirkei Avot concludes with an important line about study. Do not say that when I have leisurely time, I will study, because perhaps you will not have leisure. Now, this applies to building community and overcoming differences when you say it like this. Do not say that when I have time to be a part of change, I will be a change maker, because perhaps you will not have the time. We must make the time to build sacred community with one another and our wider communities. Sometimes we will be forced into that community, like the plane, the trailblazing, being stuck on a bus. And in those forced moments, when we open our hearts and eyes to the potential to unite as a group, we can leave with stronger bonds. And those strengthened bonds are what we need to uphold the teaching to not separate from our community. More than this, we need to open our hearts and minds to building community by choice. Do not say that when I have time to be a part of change, I will be a change maker, because perhaps we will not have the time. We must make the time. Ken Yehi Ratzon. May this be God's will. Shabbat Shalom. Our Amidah, page 164, we rise. Adonai, sefatai tiftachu fi yagid tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov. Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'konei Hakol, V'zocher Chastei Avot V'imahot, Umevi Geula Livnei V'neihem, Le'ma'an Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magen. Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham v'Ezrat Sarah. Atah gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayei hakol atah Rab L'Oshia, Morid atah. Mechalkel chayim b'chesed, Mechayei hakol b'rachamim rabim, Somech noflim v'rofei cholim, Umatir asurim, umekayem emunato, lishenei afar, michamocha bal gevurot, umido melech memit umechaye, umatzmiach Yeshua, v'ne'emanat halachayot hakol. Baruch atah Adonai, mechayei hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kdoshim b'chol yom yahaylu chasela. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh. We take a few moments for silent prayer and meditation. When you have completed those prayers, I invite you to please be seated. Page 178.
Atahu melech Adon, bechol hashalom. Ki atahu melech Adon, bechol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael. בכל עת ובכל שעה.
בשלומך, שלום רב ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. שלום רב ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם.
שלום רב על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם.
שלום רב על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם. A few announcements. So, as always, thank you to Artie for joining me up on this bima, and soon our cantorial soloist, Jessica, will be joining us every Friday and Saturday up on our bima, and her first Shabbat with us will be on July 15th, so we hope you will join us to say a hearty mazel tov to her, not only on beginning her time here with us, but also on her little one, who will be around, like 10 weeks old, I think. So she recently had him, and we are excited to welcome her and the family into our community. Coming up in the next couple of weeks, otherwise, is we always have our Wednesday class happening at noon, so you can look for those online. As long as your clergy can stay a little healthy here, we will stop canceling those. And otherwise, let's see. It's summertime, so we're a little bit on the slow side. So come join us. Keep coming for these services. Keep coming for those Wednesday classes. Especially come on July 15th. And once we hit August, you guys, this place is going to be popping. We're going to be rocking and rolling with all kinds of activities. And so we wish everybody Nisiat Tova on all of their travels this summer. And we send well wishes to all the kids who are at camp or getting ready to go to camp in the not so distant future. Oh, and happy 4th of July weekend to everybody. Okay, so that takes us to our Shechianu, sharing the good that is going on in our lives. Justin, do you want to be the microphone runner? You want to help? That means like you pass the microphone around to everybody? Could you do that for me? Okay, so I'll start. Rabbi Rachel here. Thank you, Jocelyn. I got my mic. You just wait out there. Okay, and today is the first day of the 6th year of my contract. So 6th year in the community, starting today. So 5 years in the books. I can't believe I've been with everybody for 5 years. Many more to come, God willing. All right. Oh, on the run.
Hi, I'm Susan Wittenstein, and many years ago, in fact, say 30, I joined a special community when Robert and I became parents. When our son Eric, who's actually behind the magic wall behind the ark, helping get the service out, was born. And several of you helped me build that community to support us on this journey, and we appreciate it. But I'm very excited that for that time and a week, because his birthday was last Friday.
Happy birthday.
Yes, happy birthday, Eric. That we have been able to be part of that community.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Rich Lappin, and I have two things that were really important this past week, one personal, one communal. Our older daughter, Michelle, came down to visit us from D.C., so it was a pleasure to have her with us. She went back Monday, experiencing the usual airport stuff. The second one is communal, and that is that Unilever has announced that it has renegotiated its arrangement with Ben & Jerry's in Israel so that they have finally seen the light on ice cream as it relates to its distribution in both Israel and in the Palestinian Authority.
We love our ice cream. Thank you. Yes, always a pleasure.
I'm Linda Setloff, and I want to welcome Logan Spector home. He did his bar mitzvah project 8 years ago at the garage sale. And he was truly my left and my right arm. Great to have you home.
Just go ahead and pass it backwards. Oh, they're making you run, Jocelyn. Go, go, go. All right, 2 more. Here we go.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody. I'm Jessie Herman. This is my better half, Chick Herman. And we returned safely last Friday also from a trip where we spent about 3.5 weeks in Israel, visiting our daughter and friends and going to Misibat China, which is a henna party, and going to the wedding, and then going to a ribbon cutting ceremony at Rambam Hospital in Haifa, where my girlfriend's dad donated a large sum of money to the cardiac department. So we had a lovely time, except people who went to the Misibat China, the party for the henna party. Some came down with COVID, including my daughter's boyfriend, and then it was passed on. The bride and groom got COVID, and then the father got COVID. It was just so, shall I say, COVID's live and well and living in Israel. But everyone, I hope, is better. And we just had a fantastic trip, also visiting Albania, Croatia, Slovenia, and Venice.
All right, lots to catch up on
Montenegro.
at the Yoneg then. Yes, good, good. All right, 2 more. I lied, 2 more.
Hi, I'm Jill Spector, and that was so nice of Linda to welcome Logan. He was in Israel on a gap year program for 8 months, and as if that wasn't enough, he's going back Sunday to play basketball for Maccabi USA.
Oh, Mazel Tov. Wow, that's a big deal. Yes.
Hi, I'm Stuart Siegel. Helene and I, last Monday, celebrated our 51st wedding anniversary.
Mazel Tov. Mazel Tov. Wow, wow, wow. Do you have one you want to share? No?
Is this like celebration or something?
Yeah.
I'm Jocelyn Hathaway, and I was in tennis camp this week, and I just got Camper of the Week.
Camper of the Week. Nice. Woo! Love that. So for all of these awesome things going on, we join together Shechianu, page 648.
Baruch
atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Shechianu v'kimanu v'higianu l'zman hazeh. Good times lift us up, and they help us when we are in need of that extra boost, and so that we have the energy to help others who are experiencing needs of healing, whether it's healing of relationship, body, mind, or spirit. So we're especially thinking of Pamela Rishfield, David Ben Label, Dobe Elka Bat Gittel, Benny Edelson, Gary Cantor, Jerry Bialis, Deborah Gilbert, Harris Friedman, Charles Kahn, Brett Samsky, Leslie Greenberg, Shmuel ben Devorah, Meir ben Rachmiel Vedina, Ashish Sharma, Ken Schiffer, Helen Ray, Kathy Cook, Michelle Lappin, and Sharon and Larry Sosna, and Devorah Root. If there is somebody that you are saying Mourner's Kaddish for, Mourner's Kaddish, Misha Barak, for, I invite you to share that name aloud as my eyes meet yours. Thank you. Thank you. Bill Rastetter. I'll invite you to rise for Misha Berach, page 371. If your neighbor's okay with it, wrap an arm around. We join together.
May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishebeirach imotenu mekol habracha lehavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
We'll remain standing for Kiddush, page 123. Let's see, if you're under the age of, I believe it's Bat Mitzvah here tonight, come on up, Olivia and Jocelyn. You want to hold the cup? All right, you're going to have to fight Olivia. I saw that. All right, friends, page 123.
Baruch atah Adonai
Eloheinu melech haolam,
borei peri hagafen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kinshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho v'yahava uvratzon hintilanu, zikaron lema'aseh bereishit, ki hu yom tehila lemikrae kodesh, zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim. Kivanu v'acharta, ve'otanu kidashta, mikol ha'amim, v'shabbat kodshecha, be'ahava uvratzon, hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. Shabbat Shalom. All right, take a sip. All yours. You're drinking on our behalf. Perfect. All right, friends, we'll remain standing if the two of you will head to the ark to open it for us. Aleinu L'Shabeach, page 586. Aleinu L'Shabeach Ladon HaKol, Latet Ginula Liotzer Breshit, Shelo Asanu Kugoye Haratzat, Velo Samanu Kamishpachot Adama, Shelo Sam Chalkenu Kahem, Vigor Aleinu Kechol Hamonam, V'anachnu korim umishtachavim umodim lifnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu v'ne'emar v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz bayom hahu Yeh Adonai echad, u'shemo echad. Go ahead and close it. Perfect. Thank you. You may be seated. I know. 2 doors. Friends, I'm on page 596 at the top. When cherished ties are broken and the chain of love is shattered, only trust and the strength of faith can lighten the heaviness of the heart. At times, the pain of separation seems more than we can bear, but if we dwell too long on our loss, we embitter our hearts and harm ourselves and those about us. The psalmist said that in his affliction he learned the law of God, and in truth, grief is a great teacher when it sends us back to serve and bless the living. We learn how to counsel and comfort those who, like ourselves, are bowed with sorrow. We learn when to keep silent in their presence and when a word will assure them of our love and concern. Thus, even when they are gone, the departed are with us, moving us to live as, in their higher moments, they themselves wish to live. We remember them now. They live in our hearts. They are an abiding blessing. And on this Shabbat, we are in a period of Shiv'ah for Suzanne Gallant, Michelle Levy, and Autumn Frenchman. Period of Shloshim for Deborah Frank and Joel Reish. And on this Shabbat, we are observing the yahrzeits for Harrietta Altman, Lena Applebaum, Sydney Karasik, Anita Kassler, Tammy Kofsky, Oscar Drazen, Dutch Gerson, William Gilbert, Morris Goldstein, Millie Green, Buddy Hackett, Marcia Hecht, Patricia Hershuren, Donald Israel, Philip Skitch Ivers, Monroe L. Jacobson, Meyer Jaffe, Shurik Kamishnikov, Heidi Kolbersch, Francis Lair, Burton Levine, Tommy Miller, Shirley Rose Seltzer, Leon Sorkin, Maddie Solarsh, Lynette R. Stein, Molly Stoller, Harry Suskin, Eva Weiner, and Ryan Wexler. If there's a name I've mispronounced or accidentally skipped over, I invite you to share that name aloud as my eyes meet yours. Thank you. If you are in a period of Shiv'ah, the first 7 days mourning the loss of a loved one, I invite you to please rise so we may recognize you. If you are in Shloshim, the first 30 days mourning the loss of a loved one, I invite you to rise so we may recognize you. If you are in Yud Bet, the first year mourning the loss of a loved one, I invite you to rise so we may recognize you. If on this Shabbat you are commemorating a yahrzeit, a death anniversary of a loved one, I invite you to please rise so we may recognize you. And if it is your custom to rise for Mourner's Kaddish, as it is here at Temple Emanu-El, I invite you to do so now. Kadisha Tome, page 598. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, be'alma divrach hiruteh v'yamlich malchuteh, b'chayachon uvyomechon uv'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala uv'izman kari v'imru, amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevarach le'olam olamei amaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shemei d'kudusha barichu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, damiran be'alma v'imru, amen. Yehei shlama rabbah min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. Osei shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen.
shalom b'imromav ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimeru. Amen.
Shabbat shalom, everyone. Oh, challah. I forgot.
Challah.
We do that now. Hold on. Wala. Oh, goodness, that's stuck. Wala challah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamatzi lechem min haaretz. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom, everyone. Join